Go ahead and call this meeting order with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chad, can you please do the roll call?
Supervisor Craig. Here. Supervisor Thorne.
Here.
Chairman Shaler.
Here.
Supervisor Bromer.
Here.
And Supervisor Wolford.
Here. First item on the agenda will be citizens' concerns. Anyone here wishes to address the town board? I get a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I guess who wants to start? I guess go ahead, Andy.
All right. Andrew Jules, my name. Address 2830 Bayshore Drive. 32-year resident of town of Campbell. Seen many things come and go in this town. One of the things we have to think about is not only our supervisors, but now we have a considerable problem with our chief of police. I have a memorandum here that was written to the town board chairman from the chief of police, Andrew Garvelis. He was also at a situation where I had called because there were people next door to me that were about to cut a tree down, which was on their property about 20 feet in. And rather than cut the tree down on their property, they wanted to drop it on mine. Simply, of course, because of it would have been much easier. No cleanup, no problem. I have here some lies that were brought forth by our chief of police. Andrew Garbelius, is that correct pronunciation, Chief?
Close enough.
Okay. One of the things that I wanted to comment on was, I'll read you the statement. It says, the sentence, I also made contact with the resident of 2829 Bayshore Drive, Dr. Mary Malley. The so-called Dr. Mary Malley was an elementary school teacher in West Salem. I do not believe she was a doctor in any means. But you say here she was a doctor.
You're addressing the board, right, Andy?
I'm addressing everyone.
Andy, I have a question. Do you know what a doctorate degree is?
Pardon me?
Do you know what a doctorate degree is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. She could very well be a doctor by degree, not a medical doctor.
At least I'd like to see some proof of that.
Okay?
I'd like to see some proof of that. Also, they said that the tree in question was at least 50 feet away. Incorrect. Another lie. It says here the crew advised they would not cut the tree unless Mr. Jewell moved due to the liability and safety concerns. That's a lie. The chief told the tree trimming crew not to touch or cut down the tree. That particular sentence that he made here to the town board chairman is also a lie. So you have been lied to. I then made contact with Mr. Jewell, who was standing in his backyard directly under some branches from the tree on Mally's property. That's incorrect also, that's a lie. I was standing in my driveway.
Well, Andy, you got one more minute. After 5, I have to cut you off.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I don't have much more to go. Also, I told Jewel I thought he was being very unreasonable and compared him to an obstinate 4-year-old child. You don't make that kind of a statement to a citizen taxpayer. It's uncalled for. I'd also like to consider the town board to ask for that Chief Andrew Garvelis be dismissed from duty.
All right. Thanks,
Also,
Andy.
I have a problem with Mitch Bromer. He said he would have the neighbors cut the foliage down that are encroaching on my property. They cut 20 feet down along the front of my property, just from the road out. I have limbs that are growing. They're what you call scrub trees
Okay.
along my property line.
Andy, I gotta cut you off. Maybe
Okay.
you and Mitch can get together later and talk about them trees that are coming over the fence. So,
I advised him
all right.
how to handle that.
Thank you. I guess anybody else, go ahead. State your name and address.
Oh, yeah, my name is Jeremy. I reside at 800 West Avenue North in West Salem, Wisconsin. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I have no problem with anybody here. So, would like to ask his permission to host a live DJ dance event for teenagers at Shenanigans. There will be music being played outside in the paintball arena tent. So I was under the impression I need a performance and play music outside. Will not go past midnight. I make sure the kids will be done at 11:30. We'll have security there to protect them. Also, we're having a movement called Party Without a Drop. It's basically teenagers and myself included against underage drinking. So we're bringing awareness to that. And it's also zero tolerance, drugs, alcohol, backpacks, weapons, anything of that sort. Person that may be included in security is also an ex-firefighter. When I say ex-firefighter, he's retired from fire department as well as a police officer as well before. He's my father. So I'm just asking permission to put on an event for teenagers to have lots of fun. There'll be a lot of clean music, of course. I've been a DJ for 14 years of my life, been mostly leading the industry in weddings and just doing the club stuff for the last 3 years, a lot of proms and homecomings. And the kids just having an opportunity to do things between the ages of 15, 18. This keeps them out of trouble, and hopefully it works out really well. I'd like to host more. It'll be taking place on June 16th, again 7:30 to 11:30. And it's a Friday. I've already have approval and everything from Shenanigans. I also have support from Festival Foods, and also trying to work on some support with Quick Trip and other little mini businesses that want to provide and support the event as well.
The only thing I got to say is if it gets too loud and the cops come over, you will turn it down then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna.
I'm not here to cause any ruckus. So no, last thing we want is non-resident. I mean, I used to live here actually for 3-4 years, but coming in and making a bunch of. So no, it would be clean and it would be fully controlled, program-wise by me and 3 other DJs. So we'll make sure that any requests by law or yourselves included, we'd be happy to address them right away. And it's going to be in the paintball arena tent, so it is somewhat soundproof, but technically it's considered outside, not inside. But I talked to the owner as well. He doesn't think it'd be a problem. They've hosted live events outside before, so I'm just here to ask permission to do that, please.
He don't need no permits or nothing.
We don't have any permitting systems for that. No.
Yeah.
Drew, you got anything?
No problem at all.
You got my blessing anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, the big thing is, I think the only, and the chairman brought it up, and you guys working together with the police department, good to go.
Yeah, I can touch base.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, is there anything else that I need
What
to do?
was your last name
Good.
again?
Luke, L-U-E-C-K. My father's Robert Luke. 36 years for Shelby Fire Department. And,
Okay.
the sheriff from Bangor for a while. So I worked with the sheriff. When I was a kid, I don't know. Very young at that time. So
Mitch probably knows it.
Yep.
my dad knows everybody.
And so
So-
is Mitch.
Yeah.
So,
You've been in trouble, Mitch knows it.
no, my dad's a cop. I couldn't be in trouble. I wasn't afraid of jail. I was afraid of my dad. So yeah.
Okay.
So, well, thank you very much. I really
thank you.
appreciate it. Do I have to say the whole thing, or? All right.
Oh, no, you're good to go.
Thank you for taking the time. And I'll touch base with you. So, do you have a card or email? Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
You guys have a blast.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Weiss, 100 Church Drive. I can talk about trees too, but it's a completely different subject. This is pertaining to item C. I was kind of thinking about that in new business. I was kind of thinking about that, and one of the ideas that I kind of was pushing around was, I do believe, is it a 5-minute, 5-minute tops for when you're trimming or when you're going to get your limbs chipped? Is it a 5-minute limit?
10.
I think it's
10
10.
I would like to see that if the homeowner has the trees on the boulevard and they're willing to cut them down, if the town would be willing to suspend the 10-minute chipping limit, because then that's just the money that the town doesn't have to spend to have the tree cut down on their own.
Sounds like a good idea.
Say it again.
The chipping has a 10-minute limit, but if the homeowner has trees, the ash trees that are on the boulevard,
Yeah.
and they want them removed, if they're going to remove them themselves, then the town will suspend the 10-minute limit on that to chip all of the branches and everything just to get it out of there. Because they're doing you a favor, you'd be doing them a favor. One other thing, this is to Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I submitted a open records request to the fire department, or to Nate, I should say, over a month ago, and I haven't received anything back from that. I did forward you the copy of both of the letters, and I did tell you about this prior to me leaving, that I was going to be sending them an open records request. I'd like to know where that's at and why I haven't received anything in over a month.
I couldn't tell you on anything why the fire department hadn't done anything, but I received it yesterday, and then Chad and I shared it today, and to see what the town could do for it, and then I also shared it now with the other 4
Okay.
board members. So myself, I'm gonna print up a letter stating that I received it and send it to you.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's anything we can do on our end.
Oh, yes.
I would specifically.
It's a violation of the law.
I would specifically like a letter from Nate Melby indicating that he received it and that he's processing it. Coming from you, I would appreciate it, but the letter was actually for him owned specifically. So I would like a letter from him saying that he's working on it.
Okay.
Actually, I'd like to get some of that information, considering the stuff that's there shouldn't be really hard to find. So I really would like one here very shortly indicating that he did receive both letters.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll be working on that right away. So, anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, 2 years ago, Terry, you said you were gonna start a police, fire, and personnel committee.
Yeah, I always wanted to do that.
It's been 2 years. Where's that at right now?
Well, I haven't got a whole lot done with it. Some people don't want to do that. You know, I always thought it'd be a great idea myself. You know, I know there was one before when you were on that.
Yeah, they had it for years, yeah.
Yeah. And they kind of dissolved it, I guess. I guess you were probably the only one that wanted to do it back then, I guess.
No, I think Mitch was on there.
It actually dissolved in about 2012, simply because we lacked a quorum, and when they advertised for people to apply for the positions, no one submitted applications.
Okay.
But I wouldn't mind seeing it be revived again either.
I think you have at least 2 people who would be interested in being on it.
Okay. Anything else, Bruce?
Yeah, I was just wondering, while I was on the board before, all the department heads are always here except one. Is there a reason for that?
I'm not 100% sure why he's not here, but I know there's something to do about his wife has to work on Tuesday nights, so that could be it, but I'm not sure.
Because, people got questions for department heads and all the rest of them are here and they're willing to answer questions. I'm just wondering, why everybody couldn't be here.
Okay. That's one of my, I got on my notes here for Nate. I'll talk to him, see why he doesn't come to the meetings. But if you got questions, I guess some of the guys in the back can help you, maybe.
Part of that, go back, so we had, they would read a report, just in the essence of brevity. I mean, they would get to where they'd submit a report, and not necessarily require departments to be here unless they had items on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where that, changed a little bit. If there was something specific or item on the agenda, then come and represent. But other than that, if you had a report, monthly report, it would be to submit that, and the board would have it. So that's where that changed. That's been quite a while, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Thanks. Anything else, Bruce?
And just that, everybody else is here month after month. I just thought that, everybody should be included.
I just don't think it's a requirement, Bruce, is all. Unless
I
it
didn't
was
say about a requirement, but everybody else here, even like Steve Pence is here. You don't get paid or anything, but he's here to answer questions, so I don't know why everybody couldn't be here. Police chief and Chad and, so it seems to me that there's a reason why they couldn't be here.
well, I'm going to say that unless it's mandatory, it's at the discretion of the department head. Is all I would. That's all. Only way I can answer that.
It just don't make sense to me.
It's well, I mean,
Is there something that you would like to put on the agenda for next month so that he can be present, Cassie?
I'm just wondering why all these years he hasn't been here. Everybody else, like you say, shows up every month, even if nobody asks them any questions. They're here in case somebody's got a question.
Yeah, Ralph was sitting next to me. I never even thought of it. If you got any questions, that's Ralph.
Well, I can't speak for him, but I think it was on the agenda. You'd be, more than happy here to answer the question. We can definitely let him know there's some interest.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bruce. Anything else?
that's it. Thanks.
Guess anybody else? Anything? Go ahead.
Mary Ann Paulson, 2814 Lakeshore Drive. I just have a question for the police chief. I hear there was an incident a couple weeks ago down on the lower end of Lakeshore Drive about 5 o'clock in the morning involving some lady driving her car and somebody came out from the side of the road and run in front of her.
Okay.
If this is true, why aren't we become aware of this happening over here?
Well, man, I can't, there's something called public records laws. I can't release a lot of information unless somebody formally requests that information. And in some cases, it might have been the sheriff's department that was handling the call.
Donna Campbell was at this person's property that
If
morning.
you have any questions, you can feel free to give me a call at any time, and I can look into it. You can certainly you're entitled to a copy of the report. It's all public record. There's just a form you have to fill out. It's just it's state law.
I heard this from the lady that was involved, and I'm just wondering why we aren't made aware of something like this happening.
I guess I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
Information is provided, and if the media picks it up, they may. We're not going to provide information on every call that we take. It's just we take take thousands of calls a year, so it's hard to pick and choose. But I would always encourage anybody, if you ever have a question about a report, then you feel free to call in. And like I said, it's just a short form you can fill out and get a copy of the report. And it's all public record. It's all subject to public record, so we'd be happy to provide you with.
I really don't need a record because this woman came over and told me herself
Okay.
what happened. And I was just wondering why. Because I'll tell you, this happened to me down by the cemetery. Of course, this was about 20 years ago. At about 5:30 in the morning when I was headed for work. And it's a very scary situation, and that's why I just wonder why people, should be aware in a way, I think, that this is happening at times.
And we try to post a lot of information on Facebook as well, on the internet to try to.
I tried to get on the Facebook page and I couldn't just see what was on there.
Thanks, Mary. Anybody else? Go ahead, Steve.
So this yard waste concrete project, is a pretty big project. Talking with my crew, we think, should think about having it professionally engineered before we do it. We get it the right height, get everything, get the flow right. Just want to tell you that. And that's where the trees, some people will cut a whole tree down, there's the right and the wrong way, like they overcut it, it's really a, whatever. I'm not against it, but we'd have to educate the people that do it. That's all. You can do a whole tree in 20 minutes if they cut it right.
Yeah.
If they don't cut it right, it can take it 2 hours.
Right.
So,
I was talking to Chad about that earlier today. You and your guys wouldn't have time to take any of them down, especially in the summer, right?
we're not tree
Right.
fallers. Once they're on the ground, we can take care of them, but
Okay.
taking them down, I think that's the biggest part of it.
Right. Anything else, Steve?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
You want to follow up on that concrete job for the parking lot back there, isn't that gonna be professionally done? Rather than try to have our people do it?
Or most assuredly.
Huh?
Yeah, most
Yeah.
assuredly, yeah.
It almost sounded like
Right.
it wasn't, so that's why I asked.
We're not being asked to do it, but there's no way we can do it.
Well, I didn't
No.
think so, but
That
it
would take-
sounded that way.
That would take quite a crew to
Well,
pour
that's
that much
gonna have the
concrete
equipment
over
at the time to do it.
Yeah.
But to get it the right elevation and everything to flow, I mean, drainage is a huge issue always been, so that's my main concern.
Hmm.
And having a real plan that everyone can bid on instead of everybody coming in and say, let's do it this way or that way. I think it would be better, advantageous to the town.
Thanks, Steve. Anybody else? All right. Can I get a motion to call the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Bob, and second by Kelsey. Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Let's go down to the consent agenda, items A through C. If there's no action taken on the consent agenda, can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Oops. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's move down to business 5A. Approval of change of agent for Twin City Lodging LLC, 101 Sky Harbor Drive from Adam Carell to, I guess I don't recognize him.
Narish.
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 Garcia? Is that right?
Desai.
Desai. Yeah, well, as we're all aware again, that Days Inn has gone through quite a few changes over the last year. The newest one here is their current agent that we had just reappointed, Mr. Adam Crowell, has now, for whatever reason, has left the employment of the Days Hotel, and now they need to appoint another agent. Narish is currently their general manager. He has met all the qualifications in the state of Wisconsin to apply and be accepted for the agents for the Days Inn or Heroes Bar and Grills liquor license. The chief has ran background checks, and as you can see in his memo, nothing has come up, and we really find no reason to deny his appointment as agent. And again, he has applied as agent moving forward through the new liquor license coming up here in June. So hopefully we won't have to change the agent again. But
I'll make a motion that we approve the change of agent for Twin City Lodging LLC from Adam Correll to Norwich Desai.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to 5B. Tim Larson, 1924 Nokomis Avenue. Request for permission to pour concrete slab in town right of way. Ralph?
I got a call from Mr. Larson, and he wants to put a 20 by 14 slab in the right of way in front of his property. I've looked at the property and I've talked to Steve about it a little bit. There's an existing slab there already. It's pretty much the only piece of grass left that's 90% of the areas already have these cement slabs. I don't think there's a big drainage issue. My thoughts are is that in this particular instance, it'd be okay, but I thought we should discuss it.
Who's going to be doing the work? Do we know?
Oh, the contractor,
Yeah.
Kirchner Custom Builders.
Okay. So I assume they'll have the proper slope to slope it away from the roadway.
Well, right, we're matching in. So, yes.
Okay.
It's a unique situation there that on Nokomis Avenue, everything flows from the east to the west. There's no crown in the road. It's similar in that area. So when you say slope away from the road, that's probably not what you want to do there.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
What he said.
We're grading across the road. The drainage on the east side, and the west side, and I'm not sure that, I've never heard of a problem being on that side.
Well, one of the
Okay.
reasons is there's a catch basin, right?
I'm thinking of the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, east side.
Yeah. The east side does slope
Yep.
down toward the road, all along there pretty much. So.
We drove by it today. We were over there for lift 6, and like you said, I mean, almost everybody over there's got something poured for extra parking. But I guess that being said, the other thing I always try to caution everybody is if you're doing it in the easement, and we got, somebody has to come in, they're gonna need access to it. So it's just homeowner beware. It's that. So
Are there any known utilities in the area?
Yes.
Gas line?
Yes.
All that stuff?
I have an additional 10-foot easement on my property side, not in the right of way,
Okay.
and that's where the utilities are.
Oh, good. So you don't have anything to worry about in that regard.
The pipes are in the street.
So I just want, again, for pure clarification is, we don't no opposition to it, but it's going to be homeowner be aware it's in the right of way. So if, 2 years, whatever, City Lacrosse comes or whatever, and they have to tear it up, I just don't want future boards to come back, hey, those guys approved it, and if you understand what I'm saying there, we're not going to oppose it, but it's still in the easement. Okay.
So I have a question. So is this similar to people were having to remove their stakes from their yard because they were in the right of way? So now that he's going to maybe potentially get his concrete slab in the right of way, are those people allowed to put their stakes back in the right of way?
What were the stakes? I'm not sure.
I think that's a good valid point.
I just
The
feel like
ordinance,
opening the can of worms.
the ordinances are clear about things
Yeah.
in town right away without board approval. And I think where does the board want to cut that off and say, okay, this is okay and this isn't?
Well,
We don't have a permitting system for concrete slabs, and if they're not doing it correctly, part of the whole reason is standing water on our roadways.
Yeah.
And I know one turns into a dozen, and a dozen turns into 100. And next thing you know, we have no drainage ditches and everybody's got a concrete slab in front of their house.
Because you guys already have one there, correct? This one?
It's partial. This
Well, there's like one and then that's connected to your driveway, and then you have like another little section. Is that one yours too?
Right.
Can you
And,
just be more parking?
it is town right away.
Right.
So, first of all, thanks for letting me use it. Second of all, it does what right away does, is that's where the snow goes, snow gets stored. It's a narrow street there, it's only, 26-foot driveway. So it takes a beating, and it's hard to maintain. So concrete solves that problem for us.
And I haven't had any problems with people having stuff in the right of way as long as it's at ground level. You know, flower beds, those kind of things. But when you start putting up fences and posts, then it creates an issue for snow plowing and other issues as well. I don't have a problem with the slab myself under the circumstances.
Just bring up one instance again. We went through it with Bruce not too long ago. It's really hard once it was put in, was it not?
Yeah.
To get them to come back and fix it.
Yeah, we had to tear out some of it and come back and fix it. It was a little testy situation, but
It's got to be done right. That's why, we're giving you that caution now,
I'll do my best. It has a 5% slope, the concrete does.
Okay.
We'll be using the right mix. In my former life, I was an architect, so I understand how to put slab in.
Yeah.
So, working with professionals. So, should be good.
Yeah, there's a bit of a caveat there. The roadway extension versus retaining walls, and so that is where you get into that conversation. Ornaments or trees or shrubbery that may obstruct the view or restrict the maintenance of the road. In this case, I thought on aprons we were always pretty neutral on.
Yeah.
With the note, the qualifier saying if we got to get lateral work or whatever, then we just cut into it, or CenturyLink or NSP or whoever. So, and that they don't get replaced is what I want to make sure that I'm saying is.
Right, it's that homeowner expense.
They don't put it back.
Yeah.
They cut it, and it's in the right of way. Because I just talked to a resident that had that happen, where they had put stuff in. It was concrete. It was in the right of way. XL came in, did some work, and they're like, nope. That's how they left it. So doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Yeah. So
that's why I asked you where your utilities were, because that's a very real possibility.
Yep. So, okay, well, that's all I got.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. I guess I'll second that. I got a motion by Ralph and a second by Terry. Any further discussion?
Motion to approve?
Yes.
I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say no.
No.
No. Motion carries. I guess we'll move down to 5C. Discussion and possible action regarding ash trees on town right-of-way. I'll go from last month.
I just want to get your guys' input on if you want to do a survey or just have someone come in and tell us what ones need to come down. I just want to know what direction I need to go in. I've been starting to talk to people, but I want to focus more on one way than the other. So I just want your input. It's more of a conversation. We're not voting on anything.
I was going to do a little more. I think I voted to hold, or moved to hold that over. So I did a little bit on that. What I wasn't sure, Kelsey, is what really, as far as the town's responsibility, where that was, if we were required to remove it, or if it was homeowner responsibility.
It will depend on the size of the street.
Yeah, right. If it's
I talked to a gentleman that the city of La Crosse used. Well, 3 gentlemen I talked to the city of La Crosse used, and they're all, I guess, approved to do this kind of thing, so they can come in.
Yeah, because the actual,
For a cost, obviously.
and actually that goes, Steve, you, when you mentioned it earlier, I think isn't there a restriction on what you can do with the wood too?
The wood can't leave the county.
Right, okay.
And typically, if it's on someone's land, you offer to them first. Because it's technically,
Yeah.
they tend to it.
Yeah. I just remember, yeah. So I just was saying, I don't know from the chipping side if you can take it down or other than leave it here. Everybody has to be aware that it's.
Would you load it and take it to Excel? Would they burn it?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You
Well,
got to check on
if
it.
you bring someone in to do, obviously we'll have a professional tree cutter, and they will dispose of it. That would be part of the price.
Process.
Yeah.
So
So the person would come in, determine what trees need to come down. They come down and cut them. It's not going to happen in a year. It's going to take probably 2 years to do. One guy I talked to said he'd probably do the north side first and then the south side of town from the interstate.
so they're going to
Cut them
come.
down and chip them.
So do you have an idea? Yep. So the other part of that was, did we know how many actually were in the right of way ash trees that we?
No, that's why we'd have him come, we would hire someone. That's where I need to know, do you want to have someone that's like an Arbor Day person that comes in and, an arborist, or I'm not really sure what they're called, but tell us what trees are good and what ones aren't, or do we want to hire someone that does that and do the whole long process, which is gonna cost us $10,000 to $20,000 more dollars.
Yeah. Well,
Which I can find it maybe beneficial.
I guess, are we asking the board then for,
I just kinda want to
to
know.
solicit for RFPs then for?
what's that?
Are you asking then the board to, for permission to solicit RFPs then for somebody to come in and do that work?
Well, I just want to know if that's the way we're interested. I mean, I'm not just going to go by what I think we should do.
Do you, so in this, again, I failed to follow up on this. I was going to check with the DNR to see if they had a forester, because I know a lot of times, just for regular property, or if you're a landowner, they'll come and do like a tree assessment, and foresters will do that. What the schedule is, and if they do that, I don't know the answer to it. I didn't drill into it.
I can follow through with that. I just wanted to kind of get an idea so we can make sure to get it on the budget, because it's going to be
Yeah.
a hefty cost. It's not something that's probably going to happen this year. I don't believe it's in the budget, and we're going to have to budget for it for next year. So I just, I mean, it's already middle of May almost.
Yeah, you got it. Well, I'm glad you're getting it
I like
started.
to get
Yeah,
things
for sure.
started.
I sure like Lee's idea though, like
Yeah.
the homeowner willing to drop it, well, then our guys could.
Especially if they do it the right way. And if we can put together a piece of paper that tells them how to do it and give them some instructions so that the chipping is done, the way you want the wood to lay and how big you want it, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I guess so. Besides that point, I agree. I think that was a great idea. I just kind of want to know what way you guys want me to start going before I spend too much time going both ways, and then you're going to decide you'd rather me go the other way. If you want me to go both ways, I'll go both ways. I'm fine with that. I just would like to know if you're leaning more way than the other.
Well, if you've got the time, you want to check into you sounds like you talked to the folks from City of La Crosse.
I just talked to the City of La Crosse gentleman to see who they use to do their work, and he gave me 3 names, and I called them
Okay.
about what services they offer.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
Good both.
I just haven't talked much more to them because I wanted to know what you guys wanted.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is if the state has one of their foresters that's available to do it, that'd be at least give us an idea.
They need to come down before they're an issue. The trees.
Yeah. Once they start dying, it's kind of too late. They're crisis mode. But, yeah. So I mean, I don't.
So are we leaning towards doing it where I should get a surveyor in to come in and talk to get pricing on that before we have them come in and see? Or do you want to just have the DNR come mark them and we hire someone to come chop them down?
I would say if we could get the DNR, if the DNR has the service, if we can get a forester to come in and mark the stuff that's in what we would assume to be at least immediate right of way where we have it, that'll give us our baseline. If they say we don't offer that, then we go to maybe City of La Crosse or that your list, City of La Crosse.
So we're going to put, okay, I can go from there.
Steve, do you have any guess how many trees might be? 1,000? 100?
I just can tell you that during the storm when we had them, that for us to do all the chipping is a huge job. And we had Johnson Ops come in and use his driver and fill his dumpster and take it down there and grind it up. It was well worth money to spend.
That was, who did we use when we did that? We brought that was Trees Today, did you say?
Johnson Ops.
Johnson Ives, yeah.
He's got a huge dumpster, he's got the grabber. He made it.
Dave Collins, pardon me, sir. Dave, I'm sorry. 1901 La Crescent Court. Just in our neighborhood, we have between 8 and 12 that are bad. I have one personally, and you can see it, it's dying right now. The neighbor across the street here, he has 4. That storm you were talking, remember how many of the trees we cut up and hauled away that day? And it's something that's going to have to be done.
This
He did in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The grabber is all I'm saying.
Yep. So chipper, and once we got them cut up, he just chipped them and away we went.
So those are all out on the roadway?
Yes.
Well,
They're all, the ones that we're talking about, or I'm talking about, are all in county or Tommy Campbell land or easement.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Let's see, a couple hundred for sure.
at least
When you
200.
walk around the city or the town, you
Yeah.
can see them.
Okay, well then I will go from there. I'll talk to the,
Yeah.
start
I
figuring out what it
also,
costs will be.
what I also am gonna offer is my chainsaw to you, Kelsey, if you wanna get going on it. I
I
mean,
just cut down my own, thank you. All from my brother, he let me run it.
We'll get back to you on the end of the meeting. There's public comment again on the end, so.
Yep.
And you want to throw in something on what we started talking?
Pardon?
But at the end of the meeting, you can jump in and if you had something that was on that you want to speak about.
No, I'm more to talk about the ash tree.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll get back with you. Okay, we'll move down to 5B then. Replacement of asphalt with concrete in town yard waste site.
I think everybody got a copy of the diagram that Steve submitted and the kind of the raw estimate on it. It's about $50,600 to replace. The asphalt out there is in pretty rough condition, and I don't know how much longer we can nurse it along. But I guess we have one of two options. It has to be replaced. I mean, it's an absolute need. Budget for it next year and try to get through the rest of this year, or tap into the reserve fund and get the job done. So that's, I guess, going to be our decision to make, but I'm looking for some discussion on that. I think I know how Bob.
Yeah, you already know where I'm at.
Apologize to Ralph and Kelsey. The information was from last month's meeting,
Yeah, you guys want
so probably haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay, they didn't have a copy.
And we didn't get any new bids or quotes or anything
No,
for
I
this
understand.
package. So.
Yeah.
Myself, I'd like to get it on the budget for next year's and see what we can do.
Okay. Anybody else?
Got
Some input on it?
any contractors ever come over and look at it? Or?
We haven't yet. I mean, Steve did a good job on putting together an estimate based on, the going rates and everything else. He measured it up, square footage, thickness, and that would be required and everything else. So he's going to be pretty close in the ballpark anyway with the price he gave us.
Is that right up to the fence then? And
Be the whole yard, right up to the fence. It would cover the loop area, which we're going to have to address too, the loop for that gate. So I don't want to have to put that in and then come back next year and rip it out and replace it. So, I mean, that's another factor we have to look at as well. So,
And if we're talking engineering work, what is it, Steve? Probably about 15%. So probably not $7,500 more dollars.
I'm not sure, I just highly recommend it. Because when
Yeah.
you talk about going to the fences are in really poor shape.
yeah,
But typically our engineers are about
about 50%
of the
generally,
job.
yeah. And we do need that to flow into the middle and then out the gate. So it's going to have to kind of be a L-shaped drainage system on the concrete to get the water to flow out of there. So
Also mentioned too, you store salt back there, so there might be other requirements we're not even looking at. So
right.
that's why I say it's really over our head.
Yep.
More to it than what I give you.
Yeah, that was just a cost.
Yep.
Your best cost estimate you could give us at this point. So,
Ralph?
Kelsey or Ralph, you have any input on?
A lot of money.
Well, I just think that if we're gonna wait to do this and do the trees next year, that's gonna be hefty on the budget next year.
I'll tell you from a budgetary standpoint, you're not gonna collect a general fund on both projects.
No, no.
You're either borrowing money or borrowing from the reserve, if you're doing both of them. They're just not that much extra.
Is there more we need to look into there with the, you know, you're saying restore the salt and all this? I mean, it's more than just the drainage, isn't it?
I think it's correct.
It's quite possible, yeah.
You know,
We don't have a huge salt pile, so we don't requirement for a building, do we, Steve, for a salt barn?
well, we should, actually, we should have some covered.
We get cited for not having it covered every year,
Yes.
as far back as I remember, so
Yeah,
it's something we
okay.
should look at.
Yeah. All right.
Kelsey?
I propose we look to see what's going on with the salt situation before we make a decision.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, this is just discussion at this point to get the board's feeling on it.
Does that concrete back there now is it malleable enough to last another winter?
Right.
I mean, it's already down to,
It's in pretty rough shape.
Your entrance is in really bad shape, yeah.
yeah.
Should we be getting numbers for barn, this is some coverage for this salt? So we at least know what we're looking at down the road.
I don't know. I mean,
And even if we didn't complete it all at the same time, at least we'd know where we were headed.
Well, we might have to complete it if we go ahead with the concrete. I'm not sure what they're going to require at this point. You know, but a salt barn, I would assume for the size we would need, would run 20 grand. Just a guess.
Would we have to put it here? Could we put it somewhere?
Well, it'd have to be somewhere, I guess, on town property. You have to have a base underneath it. I don't know where we have another area where we have a slab or anything that we could do it.
well, anywhere off of town property here, if it's not gated, you're going to run into people stealing it.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
So maybe we should go ahead and start getting some bids so we know what we're working with instead of, I mean, it's gonna be June soon and concrete people are busy right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To get on a list at least. No?
Well, it's something we probably have to put in the budget for next year's.
Well, not if
budget.
we're gonna dig from the reserves.
Yeah.
Because we're not, like Chad said, we're not gonna be able to afford trees, which we need to do, and that which they need. I think we should start getting some quotes so we know what we're working with. Not that Steve's isn't close, but it'd be nice to know.
You wanna call Mitch, anybody? And
Yeah, I can
call
make some
contractors?
contract with some contractors and get going on it.
Dave Ruger will give you a pretty good guesstimate right off the top.
Yeah, okay.
If that is the way it's going, remember that this project is going to rank over the sealed bid portion. So regardless of what,
Yes, it is.
So to that point, this is where I'm at, is that I look at that really as a separate. I mean, finish what you got, and you can get pricing, but if you're gonna try and it's not part of that original sealed bid, right?
yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that it's May. So if we start soliciting for somebody to give us a really good rough guess of what it's going to cost, so we can put a bid out there, you're going to probably get, somewhere about that 30 days in the paper for people to get bids to us. Then it's going to have to come back to the board for openings and awards.
But so
I'm just talking time frame.
right,
Yeah.
right. So here's where I'm at on that is you could go ahead and solicit proposal or pricing without a formal bid
Correct.
process.
Yes.
So that way we know kind of what we're at budget-wise or what we're going to do. To Kelsey's point, we have some sort of parameters and then decide putting together a project and how you're going to fund it.
Yes. I'm just worried about the time frame, like I said.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. We only have so much time in the summer around here. But
Yeah. If it's going to get done before winter, I mean, we really need to know now if we're going to even go through with the project and then how to fund it. Because if we decide to take a loan for it, that's another month off the process just to get board approval and the resolution.
Right.
and then the signatures and the funding and all that stuff. So just time consuming. Fortunately, I don't think anybody thought that it would be if this degraded after last winter. I think it just kind of snuck up on us. It's quick.
Just a lot of money to spend.
So I guess,
Yeah.
you know, what, like Kelsey's asking, whatever, what are we gonna let Mitch then just call around and get some prices for next month? And
I'll get some quotes just so we have a general idea, I guess,
Well,
and
it's free
then.
for them to come out here. I mean, they're great. I mean, it seems silly to not get.
the only thing that I have my experience with that is if you get somebody come out here and give you an actual quote, they're laying it out on the table for everybody else when it comes to sealed bid.
Right.
That's the problem with it. That's why you usually have an engineer that comes in, engineers it up, so then you have parameters to give out to people to quote it and bid it properly. But that's from the experience that I've seen. So I don't know, not too many people are willing to give their quoted price out.
At what point don't we have a statutory requirement where we can require to do a seal bid?
50,000.
50,000.
Good to
So,
go.
Yeah.
but we don't have parameters yet. So who's going to give that to us?
I guess that's what we'll find out. If nobody's willing to do it and come and look at it and give any idea or any price, then we know that nobody's willing to do it, and we go from there. So,
Okay. So we put this on the agenda for next month then again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to hold it or postpone it again.
Yeah.
Then?
I get a motion to hold it over again?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
second.
I have a motion by Mitch, second by Bob. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We'll move down to the
Stormwater.
approval of stormwater funding for July 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2019. Chad?
So for the two new board members coming on, we are part of the La Crosse County Stormwater Group. It's part of a requirement that we have to maintain our stormwater permit every year. I attend probably about 4 to 6 meetings a year as the committee for the Stormwater Group as a representative for the town of Campbell. This year they are requesting some additional funding for some stuff. This is normally it's a 2-year commitment. This year they're trying to get it from a July 1st to December 31st end date, so they're doing 2.5 years. So the prices that you'll see here is actually for a 2.5-year commitment, although it is going up. But in order for us to get our contract written, they've asked all of the town committees and boards to approve an option and not to exceed limit that everybody's willing to do, so we can figure out what of the 3 options, contract-wise with New Ground, we should propose. Our 2-year commitment was $1,260, as you can see here. The options that are presented to us range from $1,206 a year down to $833 a year. So it is a little bit of an increase. We talked about, at the committee meeting, we did talk about the increase in the funding. I know a lot of this stuff we don't really see. It's hard to commit funds to that kind of money, but in the long run, we have to maintain an MS4 permit and or a stormwater permit, and we would never be able to do it for a fraction of this cost anyways. So they kind of got us hooked in a way.
So to that,
We did budget for it too.
We do budget for it, but they're asking for more.
They're asking for more.
So where this goes back to, it was a unfunded mandate by the state, I don't know, 8-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we all did an assessment in our municipalities, had to submit a report, and then you had a abatement program and retention and all put together. And then from a individual municipality, it was exorbitant to keep the plan and keep it going. So we basically co-opted, and that's what Carl had everybody put together, and that's what this price, that's what this our part of that co-op is what they're. So it's a little bit of a sliding scale, I guess, with that not to exceed amount. Always makes me nervous, but it is the nature of that thing, I guess. So that makes sense.
Majority of the representatives that were at the last meeting were pretty focused on option number 2. As you can see, it doesn't run us but another $5 a year for option number 2. You do get a few extra perks with what they're proposing. My biggest concern always with that is why pay for more if the minimum, and something like this, if the city of La Crosse, City of Alaska, they benefit a lot from it because they have a stormwater fee. They can gear stormwater fees based on people that comply to this, that are putting in rain gardens. We don't have that. We're kind of at that mercy. I find it hard that why pay for more when it doesn't really benefit us necessarily. So it's really more about conservation and that. But like I said, most of them were very open to option 2. Option 1 is a great option, but it's expensive. But some of it too is that the people that run the new ground, I'm sure they're trying to keep themselves employed as well. So
keep it funded.
Yeah.
So this is something we've done every year?
Yeah, like Bob said, it's probably been 8 years now or so that we've been part of this co-op, this La Crosse County
Do they
group.
always have 3 options, or are they?
Generally not, no. The more that they do it for us every year, the more they come up with these new ideas and these great ideas that they want to implement to get people to put in the drainage ditches and education for commercial buildings. What they're really trying to focus on a lot right now is commercial buildings that are paving their entire lots with parking lot and getting them to comply with some kind of rain gardens and drainage and all that stuff. So, but unfortunately, we don't again have stormwater fees, so we don't have incentives for our residents to do anything.
Kelsey, questions? No?
So I would move to go ahead with option 2 in that cost of that $5. If ever it seemed like that's where a lot of people are interested in, keeps our cost right pretty much in the ballpark.
Pretty much in the ballpark. As you can see, the 2-year commitment would be $1,670. So you're talking about a $400 2-year commitment difference from where we were. But
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion?
just real quick. So once I submit this, once he gets everybody's final thing, we'll have a contract. It should be next month because the contract starts July 1st, so I'll have the actual contract for everybody next month. I should.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Move down to 5F, scheduling a Frog Pond cleanup weekend to include all board members.
I talked to Summit and I noticed that they cleaned out a majority of the couches and chairs that were down there, but I went there today and again, there's more couches down in there. I was hoping to find a time that would be good for all of you guys to be there. I feel like it would be something we should all be there for. Obviously, you don't have to. I just wanted to put it out there. If you could email me and let me know if there's some times that would work for you. I'm thinking July. Obviously, I know the beginning of the month's hard because it's 4th of July, but it needs to be taken care of. It's really bad. And going off of what Lee had said in his annual report last in April, that it probably should not be a child. Children should not probably be going there. There are things that are inappropriate, sharp needles, things like that. So probably 18 and above, and 9. So
So we have a town pay for a dumpster then or something, so,
I was gonna chat and hopefully that would be donated.
okay.
So, but I wanted to have kind of a day
All right.
in mind before I start throwing things out at them.
Just a board member thing or a community effort
No, it's gonna be a
or?
community effort. I'm gonna, obviously put it out on the sign probably, and then we have our website and
Put it on Facebook?
Facebook.
Town Facebook?
Yeah. So,
I do have a issue. Are those apartment buildings owned by different people down there? I don't even know.
A lot of them are, yeah.
Six landlords.
Because obviously it's people living there that's dumping this furniture out there, and I think the landlord should be responsible for cleaning that up. But how do you pinpoint which landlord if they're not all owned by the same person? Because that is illegal dumping, and I don't know that the town should bear the cost of that. But if somebody's
Well, I'm not
willing to
assuming
donate a
there's gonna be much
dumpster
of a
for
cost,
free,
Because if it came down to it, I'll store the disgusting couch at my house and get rid of it on March. I'll pick up. I mean, I'm fine with that. There's one in July, and then there's another one in July, August, October.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think to Mitch, and that's awesome. I love that passion,
Well, I-
your willingness to do it. That's great. And I know that the frustration part from the board or from our standpoint is this never ends. We'll go down there, clean it up, and a month later, everybody moves out. They're going to be back and they say, our school starts. They're going to say, hey, so I'm
I
wondering.
don't know, maybe if it can become a yearly thing, I'm not really sure. I just don't think, I think it needs to be done, and I don't mind if I have to go there.
I'm not disagreeing with you one bit on that.
Family, I don't.
Yeah.
I already have the beautification committee is fully on board as well.
No, I think it's great. I'm just trying to see how we can make it stick because we do it.
Well, I guess, we can figure that out, but I think once we clean it out, maybe a letter needs to be
Training
sent.
a letter to the landlord saying that we're gonna clean this up and any future violations will be addressed. And we'll just start writing landlords. I think we have the authority to do that.
I mean, if we have to put surveillance in there,
Absolutely.
for crying out loud.
Absolutely, we can put cameras back there.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want you guys to, if you could email me within the next week, sometimes that would work. If you would be willing to donate your time for the community, that'd be great. I would like to get it out. Make it known so anybody else is willing to come.
You want to pick a weekend right now, a Saturday?
Gotta be August.
Okay.
August?
July or August. I mean, if you can just email me, that's fine.
Okay.
You can throw some, I can put a spreadsheet together and figure out what works.
Throw like a doodle poll for them.
Okay.
I just think it would be important for all of us to be there. That's all I have on that.
Thank you.
I think the next one's me too.
Okay. We'll move down to 5G, Hinkley Road speed concerns.
I used to live on Hinkley, so I had a few of my old neighbors contact me about the speeding, and obviously I know that you're aware of it. Neither of them could be here tonight. The meeting time doesn't work for them, but they were wondering if we have speed bumps, if there's anything we could put in there. If there's any kind of something like that, they were wondering. I told them I would bring it to the board. I lived there for 2.5 years. People use it as a racetrack, and the school is right there. Something needs to be done about it, and I know that you guys monitor it, unfortunately.
Actually, the speed signs are a priority. I've got batteries for, so in Hinckley was probably my first
And there
place.
used to be speed signs, and I know that
Well, the batteries are dead on the trailer, and the other one we can't get fired up. And that's a priority for the month. So I'll have those speed signs up and running, either the trailer or the sign, one or the other, and we'll put them on Hinckley. And then I'll just make a point of making sure that we're out there, and because last fall I would spend a lot of time out there running radar, and you were stopping a few cars, writing a few tickets, and then a lot of the neighbors said that had an impact.
I know a lot of kids walk that road
They
because
do.
they go to school to play in the park. And
We're actually going to have the reserves out doing some safety control out there too, so we'll make that a priority, absolutely.
I mean, if you're going to say something, is there something?
just when you mentioned speed bumps, I'm adamantly opposed to speed bumps because they damage the roadway tremendously.
It was just an idea that one of the.
We had them on LaFonda Avenue and they tore the living daylights out of the road surface over there, so.
I just look at when you go back by Carlos O'Kelly's back there by Shopko, you can't go 15 miles an hour before you're hitting another speed bump.
Right.
And they seem to be very beneficial back there. And their roads don't seem to be in too bad a condition. Yes, I'm crazy and went over there and checked them out. I got out of the car and looked. So.
They don't have a conventional speed bump, do they? I thought
Yeah, they're built right in
they
the-
built right into the road.
They
right?
built them right into the road, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
The
a
kind
speed
we
bump.
have require you to drive big spikes into the road, and
Yeah,
they're made
but-
out of hard rubber. And
What's the cost of a life? You never know, you know?
well, I understand, but cost to repair the road's pretty expensive too. And
Not more than a life.
well, not more than a life, Andy. I'm not saying that, but I think if we get these police speed signs back up working again, the electronic trailer, and get them out there, reserve presence and officer presence, I think we can address that problem.
Especially now with the school light now, we'll have heavy presence probably now in the day.
The walk to school program is every Friday,
Yep.
so you guys can be there this Friday. Be great.
Yeah, I'll make sure someone's out
Yeah. At least till the end of the year.
Yep.
Anything else, Kelsey? Oh,
I
okay.
think that's fine.
We'll just move on then.
My 10,000 words.
5H, placement of parking signs on town hall and community center property. That would be me. You know, we've talked about the town hall one forever, but the community center's got the same issue. People park their cars there and just leave them. So, I guess what the thing was, we're put signs up there, you know, town business only and community center business only. So, I guess, anybody got any questions about it?
No, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah. I know we talked about it before, but we never followed through.
I live just down the road, there's always a car parked there.
Yeah.
But,
You know, the Lions Club fish boil the other day, there was a bunch of them sitting there.
Yeah, people are using that parking lot for a private parking lot, and so when there are events scheduled there, families or whoever, they get there and 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 of the parking spaces are taken by people from the old folks' home or the duplex across the street has been using it. So yeah, I'm in favor of erecting signs, you know, prohibiting parking.
Bob, got any?
No, I think it's a great idea.
No?
I'm just wondering, we got an enforcement arm for that? Yep.
Yep.
No, you're saying ordinance-wise or whatever we put
Yeah, we
in?
have like unauthorized parking or other.
Okay.
Which is perfect.
Good to go.
If it's
Also under Wisconsin statute.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
covers it.
Right on.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion to erect parking signs on town hall and community center property.
Second.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second, or a motion by Mitch and a second by Bob. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We move down to the public comment. Can I get a motion to go into public comment, please?
I'll motion to go into public comment.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Kelsey, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We're back in the public comment. Go ahead, guy with the ash trees. Can you state your name and address, please?
I'm Mike Shaver. I live at 1902 Crescent Court, over on the corner of Crescent and Hinkley. And I came really to talk about what we're going to do with regards to the problem of the ash trees. We had discussed this previously a couple of months ago, and I thought I understood that the town was on top of the situation. I'm a little bit dismayed to find out that's not the case.
Yeah.
This problem has been well recognized for almost 5 years. Most of the municipalities have responded and are dealing with it in a variety of ways. And so I'm a little taken aback the fact that we are now here in the town of Campbell just beginning to think about what we might possibly think we want to do. The reality is that most people on the town of Campbell can't afford the cost of removing those trees, or they won't. The trees are going to stay up until they die and fall over, and then the town is going to have to come up and clean them up, probably at a very inappropriate time. It seems to me that there should be some kind of plan here to deal with this thing in a logical, rational way. And I understand that there are budgetary issues involved, and we need to phase it and schedule it and all that kind of stuff over time. But I think the property owners here on the town deserve to know where we're going with this, what the plan is, how this is going to be dealt with, so that they can react appropriately. And I would urge the board to deal with this you're obviously behind the power curve considerably, and to deal with it with a little bit more dispatch. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mike. I guess, anybody else? Go ahead.
I kind of, while I was on the board, I stressed this a lot. You guys were talking between the trees and the concrete about borrowing from the reserve fund. And every single time you guys bring it up, I'm going to sit back here and I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to stress that we do not pull any money from the reserve fund. I mean, we only have a short period of time between now and it seems long, but 2024 when we're going to be fighting the cross again. And I really would much rather have the town in a very good financial standpoint to be able to tell the city that, hey, you guys can't bury us with legal fees. We have enough money in our funds to do this. So I just want to stress that we shouldn't be pulling from our reserve fund. In fact, we should be putting more into it if we can. One other thing, actually Steve isn't here. The placement of the yard waste, the way that it sits right now, I'm assuming they did that because of the new gate that went in there. It's very, very, very awkward to get more than one or two vehicles in there, especially if one has a trailer, because the gate and trying to get in and turn around or back in, it's very, very awkward placement. I do understand that maybe the reason is because of that gate, but if we can maybe think about a different area to put that. I've watched cars back way up over here waiting for 2 or 3 people to get out of here, and that wasn't the case when you had more of a turn radius when it was facing the shop.
I think part of that too, Lee, has to do with the condition of the asphalt. I think they were put where they're at to preserve, the asphalt that's there, so we don't damage it anymore while they're, hauling stuff in and out of there with the unloader. But I think that was the reason Steve set it up that way.
Because the concrete, whatever is there, is worse than a speed bump right at the gate anyway.
Oh yes,
So,
very much so it is. It's a big hump when they come in there.
Is it going to help at all when not a lot of little tins out of there? Is that
I really don't think so, because it's kind of, like I said, the word was awkward to get more than 2 people in there at a time. And before you're able to get 3, 4, 5 cars in there to start moving stuff around. And you guys all know I don't have a small yard, so when I mow my lawn, I have to have it on a trailer, and it's not easy getting that thing around in there.
I'll talk to Steve about it and see if they can arrange
He's
it
aware of it a
differently.
little bit. I talked with him about it a little bit, and I think he knows it's kind of an awkward run getting in there, but I don't know what the solution to the problem is.
Okay.
Thanks, Lee. You got anything else?
The only thing that I would say about the frog pond thing would be in July is when it is the water down there isn't the cleanest, so you're going to be dealing with a lot of mosquitoes, and the fact that the reason why I was trying to do it in the fall or in the early spring was to not have as much destruction of the plants and stuff that are down there. But I guess if that's the only time that we can do it, then I guess we just have to deal with it. But that's kind of the rationale behind why I was trying to do it in the spring or the fall. We didn't have to trample all the plants for the kids, especially when they go down there in the fall.
Majority of the stuff that's down there is on the side facing the apartments, because Summit did just clean up, I guess I don't know, it's like half that they use. They just cleaned it up for Earth Day, so that side should be pretty okay. I'm just more concerned with the couches and things that are down there that need to come up.
There's my allotted 3,000 words.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, as far as the parking lot back there for the maintenance department, I think the smart thing to do would be to take the money out of the reserve fund and get that fixed, because it's not going to last probably another 6 months. I mean, it's through the blacktop, it's down into the rock, some of it's down into the dirt, and it's something that's got to be taken care of this year, without a doubt. That's all I got.
Thanks, Bruce. Go ahead.
Andrew Jewell, 2830 Bay Shore Drive. A lot of people have been asking me why they haven't seen a squad car patrolling during the daylight hours in the town of Campbell.
I guess I can't answer that. And I see them once in a while going up and down Clinton and Bainbridge and stuff, but
Not like they used to. Used to see them all over the place. I no longer see them. And I was over there. I went over to the mainland today and came back, never saw a squad car anywhere.
Well, I can give you a simple answer, Andy, and the simple answer is the busier police department is, the less you see them.
Pardon me?
The busier a police department is, the less you see them, because they're going from location to location. It's when officers have free time, or what they consider active patrol time, is when you see them more.
Not that I have to justify my officers, but I had one in West Salem doing a dog sniff, and I had one in Alaska. That's just the thing with a major case today. So I had officers out doing good police work, and I was there all day as well. So we had plenty of officers out doing what they were supposed to be doing today.
I hear there's a lot of time being spent in the office of our police department here down home.
Well, that's part of their job duties. You have evidence to tag, you have police reports to write.
Mr. Jules, you do a ride along someday. I'll take you in a squad car. So we do. I've got to go. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time. Unless anybody else has any
You
questions.
won't see me in your squad car ever.
Got a choice. That's me too.
I see them all the time leaving. So I see them all the time driving around. Of course, I live right down the street there. So I mean, I see them all the time. I don't know if people are just not paying attention or they're just, I don't know, but I see them when I don't want to see them, and I see them when I do want to see them.
Mr. Jules Neighbors, we said we don't have that.
Andy, you got anything else for us?
Well, we have a chief that our police department that has no compassion. He's a bully. He's a liar. We don't need a chief like that in this community, in this town of Campbell. I don't need a chief of police spitting in my face. I don't need a chief of police that calls me an immature 4-year-old. That's called defamation of character. You don't call a citizen a taxpayer an immature 4-year-old when you call the chief of police to the scene. I was the one that called, not the women next door to me. I have a whole briefcase here full of lies that they have presented to the town board, these two women.
I gotta cut you off.
They are not being what you call accepted by the board because the board is frightened of them. Because they are gay.
Well, we're not gonna talk like that again. So, you got anything else for us then?
Yes.
I gotta cut you off here.
I have 3 trees that, ash trees that are dying right next to my lot line. And they will be falling on the cabin.
Okay. I guess it's 3 more we're putting on our list of.
Well, large boughs have fallen on my cabin because of these large pine trees, a little bit on the other side of the lot line, that have fallen during the winter months when they fill up with snow and ice and they gain a lot of weight. They've fallen on my cabin. They busted 3 trusses.
Wow.
They had to pull the ceiling down in the cabin to jack the trusses up in place and sister them with 2x4s at my own expense.
Right. Well, I gotta cut you off because we try to hold it to 3 minutes. So, thanks everything, Andy. I guess anybody on the board got something they want to bring up?
I just had a couple items before we close. For overall town of Campbell, but definitely going to be utility. I got that letter for email. Did you get a copy of that, Mark Johnson, about the Diggers Hotline?
No.
Okay, I'll forward that over. But I think they were fielding them in the past a little bit, lacrosse, but they don't have any really record for us, but like for our facility. I talked with Steve today, and that's one of the other items I got to follow up with him on, but I just want to kind of plant that out there that for us on our Diggers hotline, we need to, I'm going to get us listed with Diggers. So just kind of FYI, Chad.
So we can start seeing some of those emails come in when people call for
Yeah, and
digging.
you know that then there's also a response time required on that. So I'm going to have to work with utility. We'll have to all work with utility to see what we're going to do as far as marking our infrastructure, etc. So that's it. Thank you.
Mitch, got anything for us?
No, I'm good.
Well, Kelsey?
I'd like to say that with a lot of, we tried really hard. Unfortunately, the baseball team will not be happening this year.
Okay.
There was not enough interest. We pushed, we had coaches, we had a few players. It was just not enough to have a whole team. We hung it up until we actually went 2 days over our deadline to try to recruit, and we couldn't. So just wanted to put that out there that it was unfortunately not going to happen this year.
It was
We
a
had
balanced
volunteers.
effort. A lot of activity right towards the end to try and make it happen. So again,
We found volunteers and I ran with it, and unfortunately, not enough kids.
yeah.
So, but that's what happens when something's been dormant for so many years. I think that people obviously learn to go elsewhere to get their kids. So hopefully now they'll be aware that there might be something next year.
Got anything for us, Chad?
Yeah, one real quick. June 6th, 5 o'clock. First initial board of review to adjourn.
5 o'clock.
Yep, you guys are probably aware. It's a very quick 3-minute meeting, but it's a great opportunity if we have any pressing business. We can hold a special meeting then at that time, a week before the regular meeting. So if we have something that we need to get done sooner, it's a good time to. So if you have anything, just let me know the Friday the 2nd, so we can get agendas out. But
Okay. Anything else for us?
that's it. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks. Anybody in the crowd?
Yeah, just one more question.
Well, we already went past our 3 minutes with you. Sorry, Andy. So, we tried to hold it to everybody at 3 minutes. Go ahead, Ben. Dennis.
When are you gonna so we're not having that 6:30 meeting in the town no more, or did that get passed or failed or what?
Oh, it's kind of more of an advisory thing from at the end of the meeting, but myself, I'd like to keep it at 6. If that works for you guys.
I think 6:30 would be good because we'd have more people from the town here. You know, I
I'm
know
hoping
you
to
guys,
try
you
in
know,
6:30.
got full-time jobs, you wanna get home, get your beauty sleep, but hey, it's for the town. You know, you guys gotta respect that.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we added the public comment at the end, which I think we
did.
We adjourned the public meeting part comment.
Not yet.
Thanks, yeah.
So part of that was to open that up for people. So I mean, if you don't get here at 6:30, I mean you can still get here 7 or 7:30 and still have your say. I guess is.
People work till 6 o'clock, dude.
I know, I understand.
You know,
but it's
we come to meetings on and on, like some people that don't. So my thing is, we should have a meeting at 6:30, so everybody in the town that pay taxes can be here to express their feelings, instead of some of the supervisors, for example, that they just bash people.
supervisors did what?
Bash people, talk about people, you know?
Is that an accusation to somebody specifically?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Well, I haven't seen that behavior. I'm just when you throw that out there. That's why I want to
It
address
doesn't have to be in here, it could be out in the committee or somewhere else. But I'm saying, we should have a 6:30 meeting.
Okay. Well,
thanks, Dennis. You got anything else for us?
No.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I think it's next Monday at noon. They got fallen officers recognition over your shenanigans.
what time is that at, Pete? Do you know?
He's at noon.
Oh, at noon.
Monday.
I missed that. Sorry.
Yep.
Monday over here. Shenanigans. It's on the back door there. Drew's got it on the boat.
Oh, okay.
So, take a look at it. Does anybody else got anything public comment? All right. Can I get a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. That concludes our business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Bob and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? Call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you everybody for coming.